everyone. I'm Miss Maria with the Greensboro Public Library. Let's talk about this book, Sisters by Raina Telgemeier. I really love this book. It's a graphic novel, which is one of my favorite type of things to read. You know, a graphic novel has pictures, and the story is told with the little dialogue or conversation boxes, and sometimes a little bit of narration at the top. This is a story about Raina and her sister and brother. So it might be something like your family. Maybe you have a brother or sister. Maybe you get along sometimes and maybe you don't sometimes. But Raina tells the story of a trip that her family takes and some of the fusses and fights that she has with her sister and some of the adventures that happen to them along the way. So I really think you will like it. One cool thing that this book does, the pictures or parts of the story that are taking place now or in the current time have a white edge, and then when she talks about something that happens in the past, the edge of the page is a little bit yellow, like if you have an old photo album, sometimes the pictures look a little yellowish to show that they're older, and that's what a technique that she uses in this book. Now, it's not great to read a graphic novel out loud because you really need to see the pictures at the same time as you read the text, but I did want to read one little sample to you. So Raina and her sister are sleeping in bunk beds. They've just rearranged their room, and they have a new baby brother. And he's crying, wah, 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 wah. And her sister says, groan, I can't sleep. Why doesn't Mom make that baby be quiet? And Raina said, if Mom had that superpower, I think she'd use it on you too. So you see how they fuss and fight and poke at each other a little bit. I hope you'll try this book. It's a great story, and Raina has several other things that you might want to read as well. Okay, now that we've talked about what a graphic novel is, and we've looked at an example, I thought it would be fun to make a little comic or short graphic story of our own. So here's what you need. You need just some plain white paper. This is just printer paper, a pencil, a ruler, an eraser, a black marker or pen, and something to color with if you want to. You can skip that step. It's up to you. So here's what I did. I took some scratch paper, and I just wrote out a little story of something that happened in my family. It's about my dog and my cat. They're sort of like Raina and her sister. Sometimes they get along and sometimes they don't. So I just wrote out a little story of something that happened to them where the dog went outside, the cat waited for him to come back, and when our dog came back in, the cat jumped on him, and they got into a little play fight. So there's 5 little steps to my story. Then I sketched out just a little light pencil sketch for each step of my story. These little boxes are called panels in a comic or a graphic novel. So each part of the story has a separate little panel with their little play fight at the bottom for the 5th part. So there's my sketch. Then I took a bigger piece of paper, I divided it into larger squares, and I used a pencil to still lightly draw the stages of my story. So I spent a little bit more time on the drawing this time. I looked at the real animals, and I looked at some photos to get some ideas of what the dog and cat should look like, and the couch and the house and all of that. So there's my final sketch, my final drawing. Then I went over that with my black pen or marker to make it a little bit darker. So you could do that much and it would be finished because lots of graphic novels and comics are just black and white. And that looks okay. But the last step is optional. If you'd like to, you can add some color to it. So I used colored pencils and added a little bit of color to my little comic book about cat versus dog and how they got into a little fight. So it wasn't too hard. You can spend as much time on this project if you like, or you can make it really simple and quick. But I think it would be fun. I enjoyed it. So give it a try. After you read a graphic novel or two, give it a try and see if you enjoy creating your own.